What if your body could regenerate its own damaged joints naturally? Discover how cutting edge science and ancient biology meet through the function of stem cells and ketones to absolutely revolutionize the care of people with osteoarthritis. Hello, everyone. It's Dr. Tidman. It seems like lately I've been doing a lot of talks from which I have a lot of experience personally. Osteoarthritis is one of those. I have what I call a bum knee. How many of you have that? Thanks for checking out my channel. I try to provide on my channel practical tips for us to do at home to help normalize some of our symptoms, help improve our metabolic health. And today I'm going to focus on a very new area of research in stem cells and how ketones, that you've heard me talk about a lot, can play a role in stimulating stem cell production. I'm going to talk about a little bit about osteoarthritis, some of the degenerative joint conditions. Wouldn't it be fabulous if we could find a way to repair our joints from the inside? Maybe that would make all the difference in the world in our pain level and in our quality of life. So stay tuned. And of course, at the end, I always give you my practical tips, which you could probably sing by memory at this point. But ketones are a player in many ways that we can improve our health. And today's topic, maybe even improve our joints. Remember to subscribe to my channel. Then you'll be notified of future videos, and drop a comment below. Tell me if this was helpful for you and what your experiences have been, maybe with your osteoarthritis, if you have problems in your knees or hips. Kind of leave me some comments. I always check the comments and try to respond as much as possible. So we're going to review the topic. I'm going to review a research study and talk about what the authors found. I'm going to connect their findings to things that we can do at home and lead you into my tips and tricks, which are things that I've talked about before on my channel. Go back and review some of the videos I've posted on ketones. They are a remarkable player in many, many conditions. What are stem cells really? They play a crucial role in the ways that our body tissues and cells maintain themselves and repair themselves. So yeah, our bodies have the ability to repair themselves, repair ourselves. We see this all the time. You get a cut and you put a bandage on it and gradually it heals. Stem cells play some role in wound healing. They also play a role in maintaining our cells. Our cells have waste products that need to be cleaned up. They need to be turned over and new cells created. This is true whether you're talking about our skin or you're talking about our bones. And if you've watched my osteoporosis videos, you'll see what role stem cells play in encouraging bone repair and regeneration. These cells can be undifferentiated at first. They're just kind of, we're going to call them neutral, until some body process turns them into creating certain types of tissues. it's a very complicated process that I don't fully understand, but we know that they work. These cells generate baby cells, offspring that can then become one cell or another. I'm going to give you an example in bone remodeling. So we know that the cells that build bone are osteoblasts, and the cells that break down bone are osteoclasts. These stem cell offspring are kind of born sort of neutral, but the body triggers them to become osteoblasts, the cells that build bone, or osteoclasts. Osteocalcin plays a big role in helping them to differentiate what kind of cell am I going to grow up to be. So stem cells are sort of neutral when they're first created, and then they can become what the body needs. They can differentiate according to what your body is needing. The bone regeneration process is a prime example. These stem cells kind of hang out. We call them quiescent cells. They're quiet. They just kind of sit there till they're needed. Isn't it wonderful that our bodies have a reserve of stem cells that can be used? These cells help to create homeostasis. That's a term you may not be familiar with. Homeostasis means the regulation of a balance in your body. So many systems and tissues in our body work off this theory of homeostasis to maintain a balance. Using an example from bone. So it's important that our body maintain a balance between the numbers of osteoblasts creating new bone and osteoclasts tearing down older damaged bone. One of the problems with the medications that are taken in cases of osteoporosis is they totally disrupt this balance, and they have consequences that are associated with them as a result. Of course, these progenitor cells, these cells that are becoming one or the other, play a big role in tissue regeneration in response to injury. So we're going to look at osteoarthritis as a type of injury to the joint, because generally what's happened is the cartilage has become damaged and inflamed, and that damage and inflammation continue. So what are ketone bodies? You've heard me talk about these a lot. Go back and watch some of my other videos that give you more of a background on what ketones are and their multitude of functions in the body. They're produced in the liver. They're created from free fatty acids that you consume and that you burn as your own fat sources. They're delivered to tissues in the bloodstream, and they have a lot to do with generating energy in the mitochondria and in the cells. Adult stem cells that are located in your peripheral tissues love these ketones. They can actually take them up. Ketones, as you would suspect, have a role in helping you to generate more stem cells. So I'm going to give you an example. A patient I know went in for a bone marrow procedure. The bone marrow samples that this particular physician typically collect have approximately 200,000 stem cells in a typical sample. That's kind of average for the patients that he sees. He was telling me one of his patients came in, he collected her stem cells, and in her sample, she had 800,000 stem cells. He was floored. And he asked her if she knew why this was the case, well, this person knows a lot about ketones and said that she had been eating a ketogenic, strict ketogenic, and carnivore diet for the last, decade, and that it is the constant state of ketosis that she lives in for her metabolic health that has enabled her to create 4 times the higher amount of stem cells in her sample than he had typically seen. So this was a prime example of how living in ketosis, the state of ketosis, helps your body to generate many more stem cells than it would if you're living on a mixed diet or a high carb diet or a diet where you're never in the state of ketosis. So in this particular instance, of course, it's an N of 1, but the research bears this out. High levels of ketones in the blood can profoundly impact stem cell function and has significant effects on stem cell biology. Where else could you see this? Well, of course, we've used ketones and the ketogenic approach in cancer treatment for decades before all of the new genetic mutation-inspired cancer drugs were developed, where oncologists completely stopped learning about the ketogenic approach in cancer care. Wouldn't it make sense that you would want your stem cells to be hyperactivated in the situation of cancer so that they could help get in there and grow new cells and get rid of the damaged or dysfunctional cells? Remember that in cancer treatment, cancer cells do not like ketones. They need glucose to grow. Makes perfect sense then. They're primarily produced by the liver in low insulin environments, such as fasting, low carbohydrate diets, or prolonged exercise. Remember that in one of my videos, I talked about muscle development and increasing your muscle cells actually helps you regulate your blood glucose. As your glucose lowers, your ketones can rise. Beta hydroxybutyrate, which is the name that we give blood ketones, some of them, serve as a signaling molecule for the stem cells. Ketone bodies can affect stem cell function. They can also alter inflammatory signaling. In some of my videos, I've talked about inflammatory cytokines. These are molecules that are created because of inflammation. Ketones can help mitigate or normalize these inflammatory molecules. Ketones can stimulate a particular protein that helps stem cells to create, remember those quiescent cells, those reserve cells, the ones that are kind of sitting around waiting to be told what to do? Yeah, we would like a big reserve of those, wouldn't we? Beta hydroxybutyrate, blood ketones, it's not only an energy source during fasting or low carbohydrate diets, but it influences the function, the differentiation of stem cells. Am I going to be a bone building cell or a bone breakdown cell? That's one example. And they assist in tissue regeneration. There's an emerging body of research in using ketogenesis and high ketone levels to stimulate wound healing. For those of you who have wounds that won't heal, this may be an approach you can ask about. Future studies really need to investigate these ketone niches, which are areas that ketones can actually assist in tissues and cells for repair, regeneration, creation of new cells, enhancement of mitochondrial function. This is a huge area of emerging research. This is the citation for the reference that I used for some of the information in this video. Thanks for stopping in. Wow, I hope you know a little bit more about stem cells now and the relationship of living in a state of ketosis through the elevation of ketones in your bloodstream and your body's ability to create cells that will repair your tissues. Maybe even repair the cartilage in that bum knee of yours. That's what stem cell research is really focusing on. Stem cells used in osteoarthritis, in various joints, but also stem cell use in cancer treatment. Overall, the creation of more of a reserve of stem cells can benefit our metabolic health and tissue regeneration and repair. I hope this has been helpful. Remember to subscribe to my channel and hit the like button and leave me a comment if this was helpful for you. I hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye, everyone.